In this video, I'll be discussing some collab reload maps I think would make a good addition to Fortnite. If you happen to enjoy this video, consider leaving a like and subscribing, and using code WATSOG in the Fortnite item shop. And yeah, let's get straight into the video. Alright, so first off, we have one that should be pretty expected for a collab reload map, that being a Marvel themed reload map. Now, this one is probably the most expected since this is the one that has the most, existing content, I should say, that you could probably throw into a map, right? Because we've had two fully themed Marvel seasons and a few other Marvel POIs that weren't in Marvel seasons like the Daily Bugle, right? So, I think there's quite a lot of potential for a Marvel themed map. I think the central POI for this map should either be Doom's Castle or Stark Industries. I feel like Doom's Castle theming wise fits a bit better, but I feel like Stark Industries is like the better and more recognizable POI. So I'd probably go Stark Industries for the center POI of the map. However, I do think we can have like a whole section of the reload map be themed around the Doom season, right? So maybe in like the top right corner we have Doom's Castle, and then in the top left we have like Doomstat, right? Probably wouldn't throw Doom's Courtyard in there because that POI kind of sucks, if I'm gonna be honest, right? So I'll probably just skip over that, right? The Raft could probably be in like the bottom left or bottom right, and then the Daily Bugle obviously has to be on this map. Now there could be some smaller POIs too, you know, some original Marvel POIs. I shouldn't say original because they're Marvel POIs, but you know what I mean. Like maybe we could throw in like a Baxter building, you know? I think that wouldn't take up too much space on the map, but it could be a very good POI, right? Maybe Avengers Tower too, that could work. Maybe we could also throw in like those like mini POIs from Chapter 2 Season 4, like the one Black Panther POI, the Ant-Man house, like the collector thing, those kind of POIs, right? I don't know if those would really work as like named POIs even on a reload map, but you know, maybe we could throw them in somewhere. Who knows? But I do think a reload map themed around Marvel has like the best possibility to happen, and I do think it probably will happen eventually, you know? Spoilers if you don't want to know about any future seasons, but it has been leaked that there is probably going to be another Marvel mini-season happening in Chapter 7, so maybe around that time we'll get a reload map themed around Marvel, who knows? Who really knows? Maybe you could even throw some of those new mini-season POIs on the reload map. Could be cool. Alright, next, I feel like would be an obvious pairing for the Marvel map, and that would be a DC themed map. Now this map doesn't really have a lot to go off of because as far as I'm aware we only had like one named DC POI being Gotham City. You know, we've had some other like landmarks before like the Fortress of Solitude in Chapter 6 Season 3, but I don't think we've had like any other named POIs from DC. I could be wrong, I could be forgetting something, but I'm like 99% sure we don't. So obviously for the middle POI we'd have to go with Gotham City because that's the only one, and it's kind of a mirror of Tilted, which is already the center POI on the Venture map. So obviously you gotta throw in Gotham City, right? And then, you know, we could throw in Fortress of Solitude as like another named POI on this map, even though it wasn't a named POI in, you know, actual Battle Royale. I think it could be a good named POI in Reload, right? Corner POI, you know, nice little snow biome part. You know, we don't have any snow maps, so maybe having like, a little snow part on a map would be cool, you know? I think that would be fun. I think that would be a fun addition. As far as what other POIs I can introduce, you know, we don't really have a lot of bases, but, you know, maybe throw in like the Titan Tower from like Teen Titans, right? Throw that in there somewhere. That could be cool. Maybe like Arkham Asylum too. Like I know that's like kind of part of Gotham City, I'm pretty sure, but you know, we could always just separate it out a little bit, right? You know, it doesn't have to be like part of Gotham City, because I don't believe it was part of Gotham City in the actual POI in Season 10. So just kind of separate that off a little bit, right? And then, yeah, just throw in some other stuff. I'm not really sure what we could do off the top of my head. Maybe I'll just take all the POIs I made for my DC season video, which you should definitely go check out, and just throw all those onto a reload map, you know? I think that'd be cool. I think that'd be fun. Alright, next is another kind of expected one, you know? Another one with a lot of content to pull from. That would be a Star Wars themed map, and I do believe this will happen at some point. You know, given the fact that we're probably not getting another Star Wars mini-season next year, because it would be kind of weird to do that, I think, you know, where they could go from here is do a Star Wars reload map, you know, for the next May the 4th. You know, have a Star Wars reload map, take all the Star Wars POIs we have in the game right now, because I believe they're all still here except for one. Vader Samurai Solitude does not need to be on the map, you know, don't think it should be either. But the other three, you know, First Order Base, Resistance Base, and Outpost Enclave, throw those onto the map, right? And then I believe those are the only Star Wars named POIs, but we could probably throw in some like new POIs, right? Like maybe we could throw in like an actual Vader's Fortress and make that the center POI, you know? I think that would be pretty fitting, kind of make up for Samurai Solitude, you know, from the mini season. So I think that's a solid idea. Maybe we could do like a Cloud City kind of POI, have like a floating area, you know, that could be cool. Have a nice little corner POI that has very good rotation. I know rotation is not as big a thing in Reload, you know, because there is not as much space to travel, but I think it would still be pretty cool to have like a Cloud City kind of map, right? Maybe we could have like a Death Star kind of POI, like a POI that would kind of look like the inside of the Death Star, because you're not going to be able to fit like the whole Death Star on a Reload map, you know? So maybe like a POI that kind of resembles like the insides of that, like maybe in like a Empire kind of base POI, you know? Original POI, but not like an original POI. It's like a Star Wars POI that's Fortnite made, right? Made kind of look like the Death Star's interior. Could be cool. And yeah, some other Star Wars stuff like that. I think that would be a very solid map. I know it's probably not going to be that popular because people seem to just hate Star Wars every time something with Star Wars related happens in Fortnite, but you know, I think it'd be fun, especially for a Reload map, you know? Can't ever go wrong with a new Reload map. I know some people don't like the Squid Games one or the Chapter 2 one that much, even though I think those are both pretty good maps. And I'd probably rate them higher than the other two in my opinion. I know. Hot take. I think the Squid Games map and the Slurp Grounds map or Slurp Rush map are better than Oasis Adventure. I know. Hot take. Hot take. But I think that's true. I would not be mad with a new collab map being themed around Star Wars, even though I feel like a lot of people would, even if it's in May. So, I don't know. That's just my opinion on it though. Alright, next. This is a one that's like out of left field, but I have made a concept video on this collab idea before, and that would be a SpongeBob themed map. I know, you're kind of looking at me crazy right now, but I think this could really work, right? Think about it. For like POIs, you could have like a Bikini Bottom kind of POI in the middle of the map. Kind of have like a Tilted Towers kind of layout, but instead of it being like Tilted Towers kind of buildings, it would be like the weird, like, I think they're supposed to be car parts. I really have no idea what they're supposed to be, but I think they are car parts. I think that's what someone said they were. I don't know, I'm pretty sure that's what they are. Then maybe we could have like a Goo Lagoon kind of POI off the edge of the map, you know, kind of lead off into the ocean, because this would already, it would be like an underwater map, so you couldn't really have an ocean, so Goo Lagoon could be like what leads into like the actual ocean, you know what I'm saying? And then maybe we could have like a Kelp City POI, right? I don't think many people who haven't watched SpongeBob since like the older seasons really know what Kelp City is, but I think it's like more of a newer season thing. But I think that could work as a good POI for Fortnite, especially for like a Reload map. And then obviously you'd have to do like a Krusty Krab and a Chum Bucket kind of POI. Maybe they could just be in like one spot together and they're like across the street and they're like, that's the POI, right? I don't know what you would really call it. I don't know. So you'd figure something out, but I think that'd be cool. And then obviously you have to have SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward's house like as a POI too. Right? You know, I think that'd be cool. Kind of have like a Snobby Shores kind of like aesthetic with that one. Even though it wouldn't really look like that, but the layout would be kind of the same because it's like buildings that kind of light out. You know, I think it would be fun. Could also do like a Sandy Streetum kind of POI, you know. Be cool. I think that would be pretty nice. Overall, I think a SpongeBob Reload map has a lot of potential, you know? And hey, considering that the first collab Reload map that we got was themed around a collab we hadn't had in the game before, I'm just saying. I am just saying. Never say never. Never say never. Alright, and now this final Reload map idea is not one that's based around one specific collab, but kind of a group of them. And that would be a specific map based on the festival icons. So obviously, if you play Festival, you would know that every season, the festival headliner gets a stage kind of based around them. I believe it changes battle stage, not battle. Well, it does change battle stage, but I also think it changes jam stage as well. I'm not too sure about that because I haven't played jam stage since like, it's been a minute. I don't even remember the last time I played it. But, you know, there's plenty of different buildings there that you could take from. You can like base off of each festival icon, like headliner. I think it would be cool. You can't really have one based on each headliner, but like kind of like the more popular headliners, right? Like obviously I feel like you would have to do like the first 4 seasons, right? So you'd have to have a Weekend kind of based POI, a Lady Gaga POI, a Billie Eilish POI, and a Metallica kind of POI. So I feel like that adds quite a bit of variety, right? And then I probably would skip over Karol G because that's like genuinely considered to be one of the worst seasons in this game. And I'd probably skip over Bruno Mars and Sabrina Carpenter too, because those seasons, although they do have some like pretty good kind of looking structures, I should say, they weren't that popular, you know. These seasons aren't looked upon fondly, right? And I would say we would keep season 10 for the gorillas right now, but we are only just started the season, so we don't know how well it's going to be saved. But I do think the stage for the season is actually really cool, so I think that could be a very cool POI on like a map, right? And then obviously we have Snoop Dogg and Hatsune Miku, right? So those are the other two. Could throw some POIs based on their stages, right? I think that'd be cool. So I think a festival stage kind of based Reload map would be fun. You could have like a bunch of nice little like music kind of themed like landmarks. You know, it could be cool. I think that would be a very good idea for a reload map, you know? It wouldn't take a lot of effort to make all the assets, considering they already have most of the assets done. They just have to kind of arrange it into like an actual PY kind of aesthetic, because, you know, that's not really a thing that festival is made for, so they just have to rearrange it a bit. But I think that'd be cool, you know? Maybe for like the 2-year anniversary of festival, which is coming up in like a few months, they could do like a festival and reload collab map, you know? Could be cool. Could be cool. If you guys happen to enjoy that video, consider leaving a like and subscribing and using code WATSOG in the Fortnite item shop. And yeah, see you in the next one. Later.